The text arrived at 2:17 a.m., a single photo that shattered her world: Alex, shirtless and laughing with a woman who wasn't her, and a caption that cut deeper than any knife: "Thought you should know." The text came through at 2:17 a.m., lighting up the screen of her phone like a flare in the dark. Mia had been half asleep, curled up on the couch with a blanket and the remnants of a rom-com she'd already seen twice. She wasn't expecting anything, certainly not a message from her boyfriend, Alex, who was supposed to be on a business trip in another state. But it wasn't Alex's name on the screen. It was an unknown number, and the message was a single photo. Mia's heart dropped as she opened it. There he was. Alex. Shirtless, his arm draped around a woman Mia had never seen before. They were laughing, her head tilted toward his like they were sharing a secret. The caption underneath the photo was short and brutal: "Thought you should know." Mia's hand shook as she stared at the image. She zoomed in, searching for some sign that it was fake, a prank, anything. But it was unmistakably him. The tattoo on his shoulder, the watch she'd bought him for his birthday, it was all there. And the woman? She was beautiful. The kind of beautiful that made Mia feel small, like she'd never stood a chance. She called Alex immediately. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. She tried again. And again. No answer. By the third call, her shock had turned to rage. She threw her phone across the room, the screen cracking as it hit the wall. The next morning, Mia woke up with a pounding headache and a hollow feeling in her chest. She checked her phone, half hoping it had all been a nightmare. But the photo was still there, staring back at her like a taunt. She didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, she got dressed, put on her favorite lipstick, and drove to Alex's apartment. She still had a key, and she wasn't about to let him off easy. When she walked in, the place was a mess, clothes strewn across the floor, empty takeout containers on the counter. It looked like he hadn't been there in days. Mia started digging. She went through his drawers, his laptop, his phone which he'd conveniently left behind. What she found made her stomach churn. Texts. Dozens of them. Between Alex and the woman from the photo, her name was Vanessa. They'd been seeing each other for months. Months. While Mia had been planning their future, Alex had been living a double life. The worst part? Vanessa wasn't the only one. There were others. Names Mia didn't recognize, flirty messages, plans to meet up. Alex had been cheating on her for who knows how long, and Mia had been too blind, or too trusting, to see it. That's when the anger came. White-hot and all-consuming. Mia wasn't the type to cry and beg. She was the type to fight back. And she had an idea. She spent the next week gathering evidence. Screenshots, photos, receipts, everything she could find. She even tracked down Vanessa, who turned out to be just as clueless as Mia had been. Vanessa had no idea Alex was in a long-term relationship. She thought she was the only one. Mia didn't stop there. She reached out to the other women, too. Some were angry. Some were embarrassed. But all of them had one thing in common: they wanted Alex to pay. The day of reckoning came at Alex's office. He worked at a prestigious marketing firm, and Mia knew how much his reputation mattered to him. She showed up unannounced, dressed to kill, with a USB drive in her hand. She walked straight to the conference room, where Alex was in the middle of a meeting with his boss and a few clients. "Alex," she said, her voice steady. "We need to talk." He looked up, his face pale. "Mia? What are you doing here?" She didn't answer. Instead, she plugged the USB drive into the projector. The room went silent as the screen lit up with photos, texts, and emails, all proof of Alex's infidelity. His boss's jaw dropped. The clients exchanged uncomfortable glances. And Alex? He looked like he wanted to disappear. "This," Mia said, "is who you're working with. A liar. A cheater. Someone who doesn't deserve your trust." She left without another word, the sound of Alex's protests fading behind her. It wasn't until she was outside that she finally let herself cry. Not because she was sad, but because she was free. But Mia wasn't done. Not even close. She took to social media, posting the evidence with a caption that went viral overnight: "This is what betrayal looks like. Let's make sure no one else falls for his lies." The post was shared thousands of times, and soon, Alex's name was trending, for all the wrong reasons. His life unraveled quickly. He lost his job. His friends distanced themselves. Even his family seemed ashamed. But Mia didn't stop there. She teamed up with Vanessa and the other women to create a support group called the X-Files, dedicated to exposing cheaters and helping others heal. Months later, Mia was thriving. She'd started her own business, a consulting firm that helped women rebuild their lives after betrayal. She was happier than she'd been in years, and she'd even started dating again, this time, someone who valued her trust. But then, one night, her phone buzzed with another text. It was from Alex. "I know what I did was wrong. But you ruined my life. You'll regret this." Mia's blood ran cold. She thought about calling the police, but instead, she smiled. She'd faced worse than Alex, and she wasn't afraid of him anymore. She typed back, "The only thing I regret is wasting my time on you." Then she blocked his number and got back to living her best life. Just when Mia thought it was over, she received an anonymous email. The subject line read, "You missed something." Attached was a video. Hesitant, she clicked play. The footage was grainy, but she recognized the setting immediately: Alex's apartment. The timestamp showed a date from a few months ago, back when they were still together. In the video, Alex was arguing with someone off camera. The voice was muffled, but Mia could make out a few words: "If you don't pay up, I'll tell her everything." Mia's heart raced. Who was Alex arguing with? And what were they talking about? She replayed the video, trying to piece it together. Then it hit her: Alex wasn't just a cheater. He was involved in something much darker. Mia couldn't let it go. She reached out to Vanessa and the other women from the X-Files, and together, they started digging. What they uncovered was shocking. Alex had been involved in a blackmail scheme, targeting wealthy individuals and using his charm to get close to them. The women he'd cheated with? Some of them were part of the scheme, too. But there was more. The person Alex had been arguing with in the video was a known criminal, someone with ties to organized crime. Alex had been in over his head, and now, he was desperate. Mia knew she had to confront Alex one last time. She arranged a meeting, pretending she wanted to reconcile. When they met, Alex looked like a shadow of his former self, haggard, unshaven, and nervous. "What do you want, Mia?" he asked, his voice trembling. "The truth," she said. "About everything." Alex hesitated, then broke down. He confessed to the blackmail scheme, the criminal ties, and the threats he'd been receiving. He was scared, and he didn't know what to do. Mia didn't feel sorry for him. But she knew she couldn't let him drag her down with him. She handed him a USB drive with all the evidence she'd gathered. "Turn yourself in," she said. "Or I'll do it for you." Alex turned himself in, and the case made headlines. Mia and the women of the X-Files were hailed as heroes, but Mia didn't care about the fame. She was just glad it was over. As for Alex, he was sentenced to prison, his life in ruins. Mia, on the other hand, was thriving. She'd turned her pain into power, and she was finally free to live the life she deserved. A year later, Mia stood on stage at a women's empowerment conference, addressing a crowd of hundreds.